What's happening? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. I'm John Kitchens, your host, and excited to dive into today's episode. And we're going to talk a little bit about outcome over ego. And there's another podcast I've been running and hosting for the last 2+ years called Expert Mentors Live. And it's really conversations with some of the best agents, real estate agents on the planet inside of our community, the Honey Badger Nation. And, when I say some of the best, I mean the best of the best. And it's just, them opening up, sharing insights, and just adding tremendous value to our community. And so it's been fun running with those trainings, those episodes. And so yesterday we had episode 115, and I had the fellas. I had Jay Kinder and Al Stasic on, and we were talking about death of the real estate brokerage. And at the end of that episode yesterday, Al had shared some insight from Brent Gove, and just really talking about fear and really talking about ego. And I kind of interjected a little bit and just kind of spurred the conversation that I want to share and have with you guys today on this episode of Coffee and Coaching. So this episode is probably going to be a little more training and a little more me just kind of walking through the concept of outcome over ego. One, I think it's extremely important to understand first and foremost for yourself. Right? Because obviously if we can't coach and lead ourselves, we can't coach and lead anybody else. And so when, understanding this framework will allow you to kind of, have that awareness and realize where you're at, how you're showing up, how you're behaving, and then what you can do to course correct it. And then also when you having a conversation with another human being, either on your team, somebody in your community, your family, you're trying to recruit people to your organization, to your team. This framework will help, right? You'll be able to identify, see where they're at, and know how to kind of talk them through that process. So I really want to share that with you guys today. So like I said, this will probably be a little bit more teaching, coaching you guys. But as always, if you have any questions or comments, throw it into the comments below, and we'll dive into it and explore it a little bit deeper. Like I said, our goal is to give you guys the most amount of clarity to head into your day, into your week, to be able to give back more to yourself, to your team, to your family, and to your community. So this outcome over ego concept really comes from a lot of the work from Conscious Leadership by Jim Dethmer. And, his model is just what he calls the line. Right? You're either above the line or you're below the line. And above the line is that, we're open-minded, right? We're in a curious state. We're committed to learning, and we're able to trust. Okay. That's above the line. And below the line means we're contracted, we're closed off, we're defensive, and we're attached to proving to be right. And this is kind of how we ended that episode yesterday was, outcome over ego. And ego is really just trying to prove that you're right, instead of above the line, focused on outcome, trying to get to right. So outcome over ego is the concept, and you're either above that line, you're over the line, you're open, curious, committed to learning, able to trust, trying to get to right, focused on the outcome. Or are you below the line, contracted, closed off, defensive, and just really trying to prove that you're right? And that's ego, right? That's really where the ego kicks in, and, just really trying to get to that. And I'll give you kind of the core pillars of ego here in a second. But the biggest thing, and, when we talk about, we've talked about, we've all heard, emotional intelligence is the main skill set that we have to develop moving forward. And there's 5 components of emotional intelligence. And the first one is self-awareness. And so with self-awareness is that, can I identify if I'm above the line or am I below the line, right? Can I locate myself? And so do I have that ability to accurately see myself as if I am like committed to the solution, trying to get to right? Or am I so freaking defensive and like, no, I'm right. And you're just fighting that case, even though you may be wrong. And so in that moment, can you see where you're at? And so 3 ways that we can all grow in self-awareness is 1, become more self-reflective, right? This is like, the autopsy at the end of the day, documenting your wins, acknowledging, your losses. What could you have done better, right? So becoming more self-reflective and taking that moment to just pause and like kind of reflect, either reflect on the day, reflect on the conversation, reflect on, what has happened over a period of time. So more self-reflective. The other is using tools, right? Like the DISC, Colby test, Miggs and what is it? Briggs and Meyer, Enneagrams, predictable success quiz. That's one of our favorites. But the DISC and the predictable success quiz, those are the ones that we've used for forever. And so we're really familiar with those, and we can understand what, when you take that, what it tells us. And so using a tool like that, right, helps us grow in self-awareness. And then the third thing that we can do is create a feedback-rich environment. Okay. So in your organization, do you have structured communication points to where you're able to get feedback? Are you doing one-on-ones with your key people and asking them questions like, how can I improve? Are you going on date night with your significant other and asking them, how can I be a better husband, right? How can I be a better father, right? So creating the structure to allow conversations to happen in your work environment, in your family environment, asking your kiddos, hey, how's dad been? What can I do to be a better dad? Right. And shut up and listen. And that's the key, right? So 3 ways to grow: more self-reflective, utilizing instruments, DISC, predictable success quiz, Enneagrams, whatever it is that you're familiar with. And then making sure that you have a feedback-rich environment. And so the key with the feedback-rich environment, though, guys, is that if you don't take the time to listen, right? This is the above the line, below the line, right? If you're listening, but you're contracted, and you're like, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, they do. They have a perspective. They have an insight. They have an opinion. And so are you open to being wrong, right? And like, how do I get to right? I'm just looking for the outcome, solution oriented. So those are the 3 ways that we can all grow within our self-awareness. The other thing that I would really suggest, and they encourage, and I agree 100% with this, is that you've got to have some type of mindfulness practice, right? To slow our minds down. For me, I've used the Headspace app for years. And I use it in, I don't get the full benefit, but I know it has helped me tremendously, right? Like, I had to have the reminders like written on everywhere, like calm is contagious, slow down, breathe, pause, those little triggers like that. Right. And I know when I've been committed to the Headspace app for this period of time, which has been a long period of time. Let's see, my current run streak is 37 days. But I've got about 296 hours of total meditated time with the Headspace app, and 10-minute average. And so it's active. It's more of an active, right? There's probably 90% of the time I put it on as even if I'm like driving in somewhere or going for a run. So like this morning on my run, I'm on 20 for 20 little series right now. So it's 20 minutes for 20 days. And so the first 20 minutes of my run, I've got this Headspace app, and it's just the guided meditation, right? And I get it, guys. Like, I'm not getting the full benefit, but I know it's helping. I know it's helped. And, it's just allowed me to be, to slow down, and really, slow my mind and more calm, and being able to listen, be a better listener, and which has helped me become a better leader. And so I would highly recommend having some type of mindfulness practice in your routine, in your day, part of your rituals, that, how you live your life. A couple really good questions to make sure that we're always asking, because like I talked in like one of the first episodes of Coffee and Coaching, kind of breaking down the model, everything starts with the goal, right? What is it that we really want? And then, is that what we really want, right? Is that the goal? Is that really the goal? And going a little bit deeper with that at all times. So that's so important to really know, right? Because if we know what we want, then that helps us to get to get there, instead of trying to be right. And sometimes it's being right about something that doesn't even really matter to us. So I think that is so important with our self-awareness and understanding, is knowing what we're really wanting to accomplish, and the contribution that we're wanting to have for the greater impact. So those are just a couple really good questions to ask ourselves. But I was going to tell you, the mentioned earlier, what are the core, what is the core wants of our ego structure? Okay, there's three things, right? There's three things that at our core, our ego, the structure that we want. And number one is control. Number one is control. I battled with this for years, right? And it's the letting go, right? And knowing that true growth in your business and entrepreneurship and what you're trying to accomplish is delegate and empower, right? Delegate and empower. And if you're so fixated on control, you can't let go and delegate and empower. And there you become the constraint. Your ego is the constraint, because it wants to control everything, right? Even control another human being. And, so having that self-awareness and understand that control is is a barrier on what it is that you're going to be able to achieve, and, stopping you from becoming the best you. The second core want is approval, right? We're just so like, I've got to have approval, and, I've got to have the likes. I got to have that. On my run, I was listening to, I was just bouncing through different podcasts, and I like to tune in when on runs. I can listen to Gary Vee, just because I don't have to stop and take notes. I can, he's just great to listen to. So it was a kind of a mashup of where he was talking to young kids, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old, little entrepreneurs. And he's like, he just kept saying, he goes, the biggest thing that you little guys can do is like not look at the followers, not look at the likes, and just focus on what it is that you love, and creating that content, and just constantly being consistent, putting that out, not looking for the approval. And it was just really cool how he connected with those kids, and how they were interacting back. So number 2 is approval. And then 3 is survival, right? Safety and security. There's going to be times where that ego structure, sometimes where we are fighting for survival. And, when you look at, how you're communicating with somebody on your team or your, in your life, even Maslow's hierarchy, right? It's the first step is survival. And when another human being is just in that place, that's what's going on, right? And so you can't fight that. You have to understand where they're coming from and meet them where they're at and join the conversation in their head, and then help them have that level of awareness to be able to work through that. Okay. That's a huge get, guys. And if you can understand that, and we talked about there's 5 key components to emotional intelligence. The most critical one is empathy, right? In empathy, all empathy is being able to put yourself in another human being's shoes. And so when you've got seeing somebody that's fighting, because they're in the survival mode, you have to understand like what they're going through. And it's not you. You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes, meet them where they're at, join that conversation, help them become self-aware. How can we focus on a solution, move them from a retracted type of position and into a position to where, they're open and they're focused on the solution and they've got a plan, and you're helping them execute that plan to move beyond survival. Okay. So those are the 3 core wants of any ego structure. Now, let's talk over to what's so critical and some core competencies for you as a leader moving through this concept of outcome over ego, right? These are the core competencies you as a leader have to have and have to develop, right? So we started the conversation with self-awareness, because that's the number 1 core competency as a leader today moving forward that you have to have, right? And these competencies can be developed. So 1 is self-awareness. 2 is learning agility, right? Are you a growth-minded individual that is focused on constantly learning and getting better, right? Feedback-rich environment, constantly improving, learning. Oh, I don't know that. I got to go over here and learn that. Oh, I don't know that. I got to learn that, right? So that's being agile enough to learn what we need to learn to solve the problems that we're trying to solve in our life, in our business. That's 2. Number 3 is communication. If we can't have a structured communication within our lives and within our businesses, we're going to crash and burn, right? Our businesses are going to fail, and our lives are going to fail if we don't know how to communicate with each other and we don't have structured communication. It's one of the questions that I always ask husband and wife teams that I've had the opportunity to work with over the years is how often do you guys communicate? And they go, well, we see each other and we talk every day. And I'm like, how often do you have structured conversations that are, there's a specific intent around a specific subject or topic? And they go, never. And so that's one of the core competencies is we've got to learn how to communicate in a structured environment to where everybody's receptive to and focused on a solution instead of coming into a conversation where they're fighting to be right. And so knowing how to handle the communication dynamics and even in a one-on-one environment, one-on-one with your team, a date night, one-on-one with your spouse, conversation with your kiddos, right? We got to know how to have those communications and how to go into it, and not about us, but more so, about them. And then the fourth competency is influence. And for, when you look at coach yourself, lead yourself before you can coach and lead others. If you're not showing up and demonstrating the behavior that you want to instill into those around you, you can't lead another human being, right? Influence to me is how are you showing up every day in all equities of your life? That's how you can influence another human being, right? Are you modeling the behavior, your actions? Are you modeling the behavior that you want to instill in XYZ? into your team, into your kiddos, into, your significant other? Are you modeling that behavior? It's either yes, you are, or no, you're not. I think that's black and white. And so how are you showing up every day? And those are the 4 leadership core competencies that we all have to focus on and embrace and look to really get better, right? Each and every day. So kind of on the note of communication, how can we communicate at a world-class level, right? How can we communicate at a world-class level in our conversations? And, the best thing that you can always remember to do is breathe. And, when we lose focus of our breath, sometimes we can fall below the line. So sometimes, we got to pause and reflect and breathe. Just breathe, right? If you really think about just like a deep breath, it changes the chemistry in your blood, in your brain. I mean, and so being able to stop and breathe for a second right before you have that conversation, and then asking yourself, am I in a position, am I open? Am I in an outcome position mindset to create a win-win outcome? Or am I below the line that I'm going to fight for control, approval, or survival? And am I going to defend that I'm right? Or am I in a mindset, in a position to where, man, I'm open to being wrong. I'm just about getting to right. So in your conversations, breathe, aware, and am I going into this conversation to get to right, or am I in this conversation to be right? That's where you have to have that awareness. And I'm going to tell you what, if you go into any conversation with you're just trying to defend that you're right, it ain't going to turn out good. It's not going to be a good conversation. You're not going to get anywhere. So why not go into every one of your conversations looking to get to right? And you may be right. 100% you may be right. But you don't want to go into that conversation trying to defend that you're right. You want to go in the conversation that, hey, we're just trying to get to right, trying to get to the solution, what it is, the objective, what we're trying to accomplish. After the conversation, asking yourself, and this is that feedback loop. Was I reacting in that conversation, or was I responding? Was I reactive? Did my ego creep in? Did I focus on control and approval and survival, then learning, trying to get to the outcome, the solution? And was there anywhere in there that I was like so freaking defensive and like really dipping way below the line in this concept? So those are the autopsy questions that we've got to have. But here's the thing: make sure, if you want to have a world-class conversation with your significant other, your family, your kiddos, your friends, your team, anybody, right? An awareness of breath, and am I in a place to where I'm focused on the solution and getting to right, or am I going into this conversation to defend my stance, to defend that I am right? And so that will help have that world-class conversation and help with your communication and develop that core competency at a much higher level. So remember, our first act is awareness, right? Where are we at? And where am I? Am I outcome, or am I ego? Am I above, or am I below? The second question is, can I accept this? Right? Like, shit. All right. I'm being a little defensive here. Like, what's going on? Why am I being defensive? Right. And asking myself that, and I'm being defensive because, and that, you end up to being like, that's stupid. Right. That's just dumb. And, so being able to see, okay, cool. All right. We got to just get to the solution. And, the third thing then is, shift back to over the line, right? Where am I? Can I accept where I'm at? And if I'm below, what do I have to do to shift myself? And how can I motivate myself to get there? Because motivation is one of the three of the 5 key pillars of emotional intelligence. Motivation, right? Nobody can motivate you. People can inspire you, but motivation comes from within. So you have to know what is driving, what is motivating you. What are you working towards? What's that motivation? And motivate yourself to get there. Okay. One of an indicator, and we talk about this all the time, what we're looking for in our business and our lives is what we reveal we can heal. And so an indicator that we're coming above the line, that we're above it, is that we're trying to reveal. We're not trying to conceal. What we reveal, we can heal. Okay. And so that's an indicator. Are we looking to reveal? Are people that we're conversating with looking to reveal, looking for a solution? Or are they trying to hide shit? If they're trying to hide shit, ego's in play. Okay. You got to have them have that awareness, move over there to understand it's cool. Hey, what we reveal, we can heal. All we're trying to do is reveal what the constraint is, what the problem is, and then we can work on a solution to fix it. And so that's an indicator that you guys want to have, that you're looking for, to be able to see where you're at, but also the people that you're having an impact on, that you're leading in some way or another, how they're behaving. Okay. And here's the challenge, right? Here's the challenge with this self-acceptance, especially for you high Ds out there. You high Ds usually have a chip on your shoulder, and that is okay. Okay. And they will tend to, they will have a tend that it's, not okay to not be vulnerable. Right. And so, it's something that can be really toxic. And so, understanding that it's okay to have self-awareness, self-acceptance as a high D driver, it's good. Right. And, that, it's cool. It's cool though, to have that, our core beliefs drive us, right? That fire that we have. And a lot of high D driving, visionary, even operator, entrepreneurial, that fire, they have this belief that is not true, by the way, that, if they kind of embrace this concept, solution oriented, not, always about getting to right, that they're going to lose what drives them. And it's not true, right? It's not true. And here's a good test. Okay. If you're having a conversation, or even if you're challenging your thoughts, for something to be true, right? A fact, for something to be true, ask yourself, could this be proven in a court of law to be fact? Could everybody that you're with in agreement believe that that's true? If they can't, then it's not true. It's not a fact. Okay. So you really want to be careful with that, and what you think is truth, and what you really believe. But I want to kind of talk about motivators. We talked a little bit about this, Jeff and I, on Growth Guys podcast yesterday. And I want to reemphasize this, because motivation, and, if we have that fire goes away, what is going to be motivating? And, we're working with, some agents right now on a pretty cool LMS branded system for them, for agents, called Branded Agent University, that, we're taking them through a just cause process and helping them kind of get clear on the future and where they're going, and what they stand for, what their organization stands for. And so we kind of broke apart, in your just cause, you have to stand for something. And part of emotional intelligence, the motivation is one of the key pillars of the 5. Motivation is one of them. And, you high drivers out there, you have that fire in your belly. And if you're like, well, if I go down this foo-foo stuff and, I'm, tapping into my emotions and I have empathy and I'm vulnerable, how am I going to lose that drive? No, motivation is one of the key pillars. And so there's 5 levels of motivation, and I want to break them down for you guys. And one is the motivation through fear, through guilt, through shame, through anger, through rage, right? We've all had those type of leaders in our lives, right? They fear us into doing what we want to do, what we need to do, or they guilt us, or they shame us into it. And it works. But the problem is that it breaks trust, right? And trust is just authenticity times time equals trust. And if somebody's fearing you or guilting you or shaming you into doing something, that shit don't last. You break the time. You won't. It's not real, and therefore trust is broken. The second motivator is extrinsic reward. Extrinsic reward, right? We'll give you a little bit of extra money for doing this, right? We've all been guilty of this with our sales teams, right? Hey, bonus, end of the month bonus. Whoever closes these out, $500, right? Or I'm going to put you on this pedestal, right? You're going to get this fame. You're going to have control over this department. You're going to have control of this piece of the business. We're going to praise you. You're going to get the most approval, right? We're going to give you a little bit of extra money. You'll be able to, have a little more safety, security. What did we just talk about in one of the 3 core competencies of ego? Right? What did we just talk about? Control, approval, safety, and security. Extrinsic reward is all about tapping into the ego. And the problem with extrinsic rewards for our teams and even for ourselves is that we always have to keep increasing it. Think about it. The same competition that you run with your team for a quarter, you can't run it again unless you up the ante. Extrinsic reward will get you, but it's not sustainable. It'll get you a short bump, but it's never enough. It's always got to be more. And extrinsic reward hits all 3 of the ego pillars: control, approval, safety, and security. So 2 motivator is extrinsic reward. The 3rd motivator is intrinsic reward. And this is really what we're working with these agents to understand their just cause, because understanding that they're living from a sense of purpose or calling, right? And that they have alignment to that. And we discover kind of our zone of genius, right? What is our talent? What is our skill? This goes back to self-awareness, right? and having a great self-awareness. And if you're struggling with like knowing what you're really good at or what you suck at, ask somebody close to you, and just ask, say, hey man, I'm kind of trying to understand my lane and what I'm like really the best in the world at. What do you think I'm really, really good at? And then shut up and listen. And then the other thing is like, okay, all right, what should I never do? What do I suck at? And, just owning it. And when you have that, I love that. Right. So now, hey, where's my lane? Where can I run? Where am I not going to exhaust energy? And where am I going to be fulfilled? And I'm really, have that sense of purpose, and I'm living I'm living towards that just cause that I have for my business, for my life. I'm in alignment to that. And so that's where you become the most productive. That's where you get the greatest results, right? And you move closer to freedom. So intrinsic reward. And really, guys, this is the first level of motivation that doesn't leave any type of toxic residue. Motivation 1 and 2 leave a toxic residue. It's not good. It's not healthy, right? So that's why it's so critical that you guys understand your just cause, your purpose, and, aligning and building the team around you that wants to be a part of that. And you get in your lane, you get them in their lane, and you can go so much faster and so much further, and not get exhausted, right? So the fourth motivator is play, right? Think about this. And we talked a little bit yesterday, Jeff and I did on the Growth Guys podcast, about why people make a move. And from Jeffrey Smart and Randy Street, they have their company. They've written a couple really great books. One of them is called Who, which is all about hiring. And this statistic, they break down in there. There are the 5 F's of why people make a move. And it's fun, it's freedom, it's fortune, it's family, and it's fame. So people make a move based upon one or more of those 5 things. And the number one reason that people make a move to another organization, another company, is that all about fun. Fun is number one. And so when you go back to and understand that one of the 5 motivation is internal, that we have, is understanding that, as a human being, and mammals in general, we're all motivated by food, by play, or by learning. Okay. And so play is fun, right? Whenever I'm doing whatever I'm doing, it's like, man, I'm like a damn kid. I'm loving it, right? I'm just having fun. And so, it's you have to make sure that people are having fun, make sure you're having fun. You're being a leader that understands this and creates that type of environment for your people, right? Here's the thing. People don't leave companies, people leave people. And, goes back to, are you influencing? Are you leading? Are you creating the environment? Your job as a leader, one, is to create this just cause, to create this purpose, but then able to communicate it, build the team, remove the obstacles, and create that environment to where they can excel. And so, is your environment fun, right? I mean, even one of our core values for years has always been work hard, play hard. Fun, right? And even the organization that we're a part of right now, one of their core values is fun. And so, it has to be in there. It has to be like play. It has to be fun. And the fifth motivator is, man, you just got to love the thing. You just have to love the thing. I love real estate. I love coaching. I love adding value. I love being a leader. I love being a husband. I love being a dad, right? I love playing golf, whatever it is, right? You just really have to love that thing for that motivation to be there. And if you are listening to this and you have a business, you have people that are under your care, right, that you're making payroll to, those teams and those organizations, I'm telling you guys, you can either get on board with this, or you can be, we talked about, how the mighty fall on the Expert Mentors Live podcast yesterday. And that fifth stage is irrelevance or death. And I'm telling you, teams and organizations of the future are going to be motivated by intrinsic rewards, right? Just cause, alignment to the purpose in our zone of genius, play, having fun, right? It ain't work, right? I love this. And actual love for the thing that we're doing. Okay. You have to get that, guys. If you want to be and have an impact, have a greater contribution and a bigger impact in the future moving forward. And then, so alignment of purpose, commitment to play in your zone of genius, have fun, love what you do, and love your team. And so that's the outcome over ego concept. And really, I know I went deep and it's pretty heavy, but it's such a critical concept that you get to one, right? Remember, if we can't coach ourselves, we can't coach anyone else. And this is a framework to coach yourself at a much, much deeper, better, higher level than you could without this tool set. And really, that's what Coffee and Coaching, this series, these episodes are all about, guys, is giving you guys the tools, the framework to be better. And that's our whole goal. That's really what these episodes are about, is to give you tools in your toolbox to lead yourself, lead your team, lead your family, and lead your community at a much, much deeper level. So awesome. Well, cool. So ego will literally kill your business and stop growth. Great topic, man. Taryn, what's up? Mr. Freeman? That is not always right. One of my favorite sayings that I learned the hard way. That's right, man. Absolutely. Fire. Had to run, do a podcast. This is being recorded. Absolutely, this is being recorded. And I will definitely, wherever you're watching this, it'll be here. But I always download. There's always a link to where you can share. If you've got somebody on your team, if you've got somebody, think that they might find some value from this, take the link and share it. So I'll post the link in this thread so you can share that as well. A new normal. True, man, that's awesome. Any other questions or thoughts that you guys have? Definitely answer any questions, expand upon any of that outcome over ego concept. And, I've got a few little notes up on the board. It's the whole no ego, no fear. The obstacle is the way. Ego is the enemy. Ego versus capital. It's a good one. And, obviously the outcome over ego. Ryan Holiday is one of my favorite authors. And he, two amazing books that we've given out numerous times. The obstacle is the way, and ego is the enemy. That's two main ones. He's written maybe 7 or 8 books. They're all fantastic, and he's definitely somebody worth paying attention to. But if you want to dive deeper on any of those kind of concepts, I would recommend diving into his work, into his books. They're fantastic. Even on Audible, he reads them, so he's pretty articulate. It's pretty cool. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. And as always, we're here for you guys to help you guys work through any issues and challenges. Just remember, there's a code. There's a code to unlock anything in our lives. And you just got to have the right combination, right things, right order. And that combination will unlock anything in your life. So David, Ryan Holiday. I know I got multiple copies of it somewhere. They usually get handed out. This is one of his newer ones. Stillness is the key. It talks about the silence, right? Stillness is the key. Got it. So Ryan Holiday, any of his stuff, man. Obstacle is the way. Ego is the enemy. Those are just a couple fantastic ones to add into your reading queue. So just remember, guys, appreciate y'all. Feel free to reach out. Any questions that you guys have. And like I said, man, got to have the combination to unlock whatever it is you want to unlock. And this outcome over ego concept is definitely a key that will unlock a lot of things in your life. Appreciate y'all. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.